Hi there, this pick a card is going to be, what are you currently in the process of remembering? So this will be a message from your spirit guides or your highest self, translated through me with my biases, my perceptions, my limitations and liberties in language. So feel free to loosen your mind and take the message as abstractly as you can, because there is this beautiful way that messages come through with like how you can just take it into your subconscious and apply it, because it has to do with energy, and we all are connected and we all have access to these energies. And so when you're drawn to this particular choice and the message associated with it, it just means that energy is the one that you're looking at right now. And because we've all taken turns looking at energy from different angles and put that together in the collective knowing, you know, I think our spirit guides can advise us through that. So this is meant to be fun, it's meant to be helpful, it's meant to be uplifting. If you get activated into a wounding pattern as a result of something that we uncover here, just know that at that moment when you are activated, you'll have a choice. You'll have a choice to abandon yourself into the wound pattern that you've played out many, many times before, or recognize that that's about to happen and make a new choice for yourself by being present with the energy and not letting it take over your body and act out through you and send you off into swirls of negativity and activating a program that was pretty much implanted in you that has to do with avoiding feeling something that is now giving you an opportunity to feel it so that you can be more integrated with it, be more whole with the experiences that you've had up to this point in life. Up to this point in your life, all of those experiences were useful to you, to your perspective, to surviving what you have traversed. And when we take on the perspective that society says we should suppress or deny some of those experiences or feelings, so we don't end up processing them through, or when something shocking happens to us at a young age and we can't fully comprehend what it is, sometimes we can adopt a certain story to help us make sense of a difficult situation and avoid allowing us to feel the depth of pain that situation might really warrant for a human to process as a result of. And none of this is wrong. This is like what we're imprinted with is what we're here to experience. And for people like me who get curious and who are intrigued by the occult and the magic of all of this, and who are now tuning outside of themselves to feel into the field, using the sensor that their body is, so the sensor that their knowledge, their experiences amount to for them to perceive the certain experience. Like, this is just kind of like a piece of something that will maybe unlock something for you, maybe remind you of something, maybe set you free on something, maybe it will make you realize what you think in contrast to what you're being shown, you know? Use it for what way it benefits you, okay? That's really important. And I really enjoy doing this, so I appreciate you spending your time with me and taking a chance that I may have something interesting to say. Okay, so this is going to be pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, and pick 4. So you want to take a deep breath, maybe even 3. Ground yourself. I imagine cords or roots growing down from my root chakra into the center of the earth and rooting me there, anchoring me. I imagine God's love and light, source energy, universe, whatever you want to call it, the energy that has created us, pouring into my crown and filling up my body completely. With each breath, releasing any tension, putting myself at ease, putting my hand on my heart, maybe both hands, and asking myself the question, which pile is for me? Now, some of you already knew which pile was for you before I asked you that question, and that's fine too. You know your own intuition, and so some of us are in the process of knowing it very well, and some of us are in the process of just learning that we even have a thing called intuition to guide us. So have fun with it. Thank you for being here. Let's start with pile number 1. Okay. I'm just clearing the crystals and putting them with the respective piles here. Okay. Now, first thing I've asked is, I asked Spirit to tell me about you, and then what you are remembering. And there's also an opportunity to ask a question. So, let's just start. A lot of these just kind of flew out, and I'm going to put them facing me. This is my new deck that I just kind of created, just channeled images and energies and blue skies and sweet dreams. You're a dreamer. You maybe even still be nostalgic or holding on to some of the pain of a past relationship. You know, there's a reason why this is acknowledging this for you. If it's not the truth for you, maybe it's that a lot of people, you know, chose this pile and not everything of, in detail will pertain. You can stick around and see if the rest of the message pertains to you, but first you'll want to see something in this portion of the reading that does resonate for you before you take this, because your guides would want to know and feel that that's true. So when you see that, then you can invest more in the rest of the message. Okay, then you got Divine Feminine. This is in reverse, and so isn't polyamory. That's interesting. Maybe you're in the closet in some way. So, like maybe you have had to play a role to fit into a situation that's not been ideal for you in some way, that cut you off from some of your feminine qualities. But you are looking to relate in a more fair manner. You're ready to step out of fantasy ways of relating and pretending to be someone you're not, especially online, especially in flirty ways online. Maybe you are a person who is either already in a commitment or ready to be committed to something. You've just started to feel this way, perhaps. It's you're dealing with feelings that are emerging. And maybe that's why some of this old pain might have been resurfacing lately. You got karmic relationships, so there was a relationship in the past that was meant to teach you something only, and there may have been a different expectation for you from it, about it. But through it, you did learn more about fair relating, what is and isn't. Maybe because you were being kept in a situation where it wasn't fair. And now there's someone else here. Moving towards wanting to be committed and true, and just kind of take things slow, like starting with date night. Interesting. Okay. So if you had one question, if you came here with one question, if you have a question about what we're going to be talking about, I'm actually going to wait until after we look at what you're remembering to answer that, okay? So you can have something in your mind, or I'll ask you again right before I flip it, okay? What is pick one remembering? It's about relating, and it's something that's been happening right now, like in the way that relationships are going, and you're kind of being shown through little places where you feel anxiety, on where you don't trust yourself, where you're out of your integrity perhaps, because your integrity is one thing and you don't want to be out of line with it. Maybe there's a reason that you have been, though. Maybe you are fooling yourself, or someone else has been fooling you. Maybe you are in territory that that nobody's traversed, that you're traversing, that you're doing something heavy to release a curse on your family, on your ancestry, on your children, on the way that you relate to them, on the way that you reflect off of other people. You're clearing an inability to celebrate life more. You've become clearer on something, and you understand something from a much deeper level, something that had to do with trickster energy and was clearing a karmic pattern and was keeping you out of your own integrity. And I think that you have really been indulging in the energy of gratitude, and you're remembering the importance of that. You're seeing how that can really change things all around. And you never did lose hope. You remained a hopeful being through this, because that's just more in line with who you really are. Okay. Now that question, let's see what the answer Spirit would give you is. Ask a friend. So maybe there's a friend that can help you with what the question is that you have. Now the advice for this situation is the Fool card, Chiron, and Integrity. Wow, you got Integrity twice. Holy moly. Look at that. Integrity is acting in line with your own values, not anyone else's. What everybody else had on you for expectations, no, 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 no. That's what's keeping you out of integrity, and it hurts. But you don't know what's going to happen when you step into being who you really are, because you haven't been that yet. You've been acting in accordance with others and trying to get along, and now this is calling for you to get into that pioneer energy, to go where others haven't gone, to say what others haven't said, to take a chance, take a leap of faith. Having cleared the wounding patterns that were brought to your attention through the situation that you have been in. And this seems to be opening up a lot of freedom in relationship for you. Okay? Yeah, taking this time to really reflect is making things come more clear to you. You're understanding things in a whole new way, which is releasing you from those old patterns that didn't feel so good, that were karmic, that were really just mind control in some way, like that trickster energy. It's a program that's just been put in you, that's been playing out, and you just clear it. And then you get in line with who you really are. You knew it was against your values anyway the whole time. Didn't make sense on why it worked that way, but it was because it was trickster energy. You were just learning. Well, you can trump that with Fool energy for sure. Everyone else has been doing all the responses that exist already for trickster energy. I'm angry, I'm retaliatory, I'm holding a grudge, I'm not getting back up, I refuse, victimization has been played out. Let's step into being our own rescuer, if that's the way we need to phrase it, but we don't really. We like our own defragmenter, our own reparenter, our own lover, our own champion, our own sweet dreams, our own date night, like taking care of ourselves, our own truth, our own way of relating in a fair manner, doing what we know is right. Love it. Whew, well, pile one. Thank you for participating in this reading. That was very cool, very interesting. I hope it's helpful to you in some way. And that is going to complete your reading. If you'd like to have a personal reading, I am doing those. You can check out my website to book one. And it's not my main focus, but it's definitely a hobby, and I don't mind doing them here and there, so I've set aside some time to do it. Okay? Wow, thank you so much, and maybe we shall see you next time. Okay. Pick number 2. Thank you for joining me. Here we're going to look at who you are first. And then we've got some other things that we've asked Spirit to share with us through the cards. So I only got a couple cards here when I asked who you are. And it's because who you are is not who you've been. You're going through some big changes right now. You're someone who likes to see the big picture. You've maybe even kept yourself on guard for a while. And you really like to play by the rules. You don't like it when people are stepping out. I think that's why you're keeping apprised of them. So if that sounds familiar and right and true, then we're going to move on to the next part of the reading, which is going to show what are you in the process of remembering right now. Okay. Pick 2. You are in the process of remembering that it's time to be rebirthed. That at this point in your journey, you were meant to leave a bunch of things behind that no longer serve you and go through this portal of change, that you've already felt it in your bones. You've already known it through your intuition. You've already been told it, maybe by a reader. Your energy is reeking of it. You're headed towards your destiny. You've learned what you needed to learn in the fate loop that you've been in. You cleared the karmic pattern. It does not have to be lived out any longer. I think this is making room for you to come in line with your soul family, but also that all parties have been part of your soul family, playing parts for you, and that this admiration, that you maybe tend to put on others when you analyze their lives or talk about them or see what they're doing, it actually is meant for you. You have all those qualities too. You have all those capabilities too. You are just being inspired by another person. So that admiration can be turned back onto yourself. You're obviously a very powerful being, and maybe what you've been doing is collecting the parts of you that had not been empowered, that were disempowered. Yeah. Stepping into a time of expressing yourself freely, being loving of yourself, which makes it so much easier to be loving of others. You are stepping into a time where you can take more responsibility because you've been healing. You've healed, and you've been able to step out of things just by taking the big picture view with a very open mind. You're a free spirit. Okay, so now if you have a question to ask Spirit at this point, something you've been doubting, something you just want to take a chance on asking, who knows, we're just going to flip the card and see what the answer is. And that ridiculous means that, one thing that comes up when I get this is like, is there a tinge of shame that comes when your spirit guides say, that's ridiculous, it's ridiculous that you ask? Because each time I get this card, I feel like that tinge is less and less. And I feel like in a way, it's like I'm becoming numb, immune to this card shaming me. And so I kind of feel like that alludes to something here where there's no shame anymore about something that you used to maybe feel shame for. Something like that. And they just want you to know that you are totally capable of trusting yourself in this situation. Look how far you've come. Pat yourself on the back. Great job. All that good stuff. Okay. Grounding is one of the advice cards here. Grounding. So that means, getting in touch with the earth. That means shooting cords from your root chakra into the center of the earth and tying there and anchoring there, or tapping your cheekbones with your fingertips to help you ground. That was a technique that Donna Eden shares, that she says this connects those meridians right into the earth. So, and boy, does it feel great when I do it. So, flip the memory is something else that can be done while tapping. While you're tapping, anything that comes up now in the form of restriction and fear, and I can't express myself freely, you can now take that and go back to the memory while tapping and change the memory around. Change the memory around to, you know, tell the story that you wanted it to be while you're tapping it in. And this changes, see, you have some things to change. And your breath and your tapping are going to be very powerful tools to help that happen. Basically, you're going to reprogram yourself by doing energy psychology. So you're going to move the energy while you reprogram your mind. This is a very powerful technique. I suggest looking into it, you know, more if you're not comfortable going into it, but it's very easy. As easy as I've said it is how you can do it. And I feel like you're already in the process of changing, and maybe this is just some helpful tools that if they call out to you, if they seem reasonable to you, that's something that you want to try, that you feel comfortable with proceeding through. I think they are offering them as very helpful to you at this time. Wow, okay, pick 2. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. That is going to conclude your reading. I hope that it's helpful in some way. And if you're looking for a personal reading, I am doing that offered through my website. So check me out there if you're interested. Thank you for spending your time. I know I already said that. I'll probably say it again next time too. Bye. Okay. I'm just putting these back before I get started with pick number 3. Okay, pick number 3. What we have here is, first I've asked, you know, for the cards to tell me who you are. Tell me enough about you that you know this reading is for you. Then we're going to look at what you're remembering and some other things. So, who you are, pick 3. You are someone who trusts the universe. You are a creative being. You feel very solid in your foundation. You have people that you trust. You're able to be vulnerable with people that you love. You may feel a little bit of block in your creative ability at this time, but you generally are a very creative person. You may have had some trouble working together with somebody, but you know that you're meant to. And your true love is your best friend. Your best friend is your true love. That you've been finding out the truth of a situation, and that this truth has maybe brought you closer together with yourself or another person. Somewhere there was no attention being paid. There is now. There's the realization. There's been realizations through a time apart. That maybe you want to work things out with somebody that feels true to you. That's your best friend that you love very much. And maybe it was kind of like you lost your muse in being separated from this person. Okay. Let's see what you're in the process of remembering. That timing matters. That maybe something about being content, and I feel like I got both messages, so maybe it's split. Some of you are, it It's like you were stuck being content, or you deserve to be content. You're remembering who you are without this certain mask. That's this unconditionally loving being who is able to commit. And a past life connection has come up twice here. Look at this. Wow, this is so cool. I love this. It's happened in pile 1 also, but for different energy. Okay, so obviously this person is a past life connection for you. And that's why there's been this probably residual stuff to work through, you know? And who better to work through something than two best friends that love each other so deeply? Difficult things, you know? But unconditional love got you through difficult things. That's what you committed to before you came into this world. And this connection has been protected. You were existing in a reality that ensured, a timeline that ensured that was the thing that you were going to focus on and complete. A pattern that required time apart and that may have involved deception. And that may have messed with your creativity. Okay, but someone that you really love, so this is very interesting. So it feels like there's some sort of innocence with what's happened, like it's just misunderstandings or something that really just needed some love. Let's see if you have a question, either regarding this reading or one that you came to the reading with. In general, let's see what the answer would be. Would be let it go. Maybe let go of the difficulty and write a new story. The programs that you've realized that weren't working can be overrode now. With an open heart, really, anything can be healed. The presence on anything, the presence with something automatically transforms it. So, surrender the difficulty. Surrender what's not working. Surrender anything that's not love. Work together. Wow. Yeah. Solidify the foundation by letting go of the rickety stuff. You can't build with that anyway. It's not what you're building with. You're building with your true love and your friendship and your commitment. Okay. And what's the advice from Spirit? Stillness, then they can speak directly to you. They have some things to say. And that they know that letting it go, they know the surrender, they know that the facade carries with it a tower that is going to crumble. They know that, they're acknowledging that, and they still say, let it go. And then be still. And you know what I'm reminded of? Kyle Cease is a comedian turned spiritual advisor, and when he did like he did some like shows where he would be very funny, but he was talking about, you know, transforming through spirituality. And he talked about how when he came out as being very spiritual in the comedy community, he was kind of shunned by some people, and people didn't approve, and people, you know, basically he thought his career was over, you know, and he said he sat in a hotel room for 3 days and just sat with that and let that be the case, and first upset and angry, and you know all those things that come with all those feelings that come with those feelings are like wanting to lash out and all this stuff, but didn't do that, just sat with it and was with it. And then by the end of his time in the hotel room, he realized that, you know, that's not who he was, that his life wasn't over just because his image was changed. in the eyes of the people that chose to look through that lens they were looking at through. And he opened his life to so much more. You know, he's so much more fulfilled now. And he's loving his life and what he's doing, and he's got plenty of people paying attention to him, if that was the point, you know. It's like, but now it's like people that really appreciate him, not people that are holding him on this pedestal that is rickety and not really, you know, the true him. He's authentic now. It's freedom. He has freedom. So this situation, although difficult, letting go, you know, it's like, this reading's so simple, it's like, oh yeah, let it go. But no, I think this is, they're trying to say, yeah, we know this is heavy and it's a big stuff gonna fall. Chaos will ensue, we know. Get still with us, we'll get you through it. Wow. Woo. Pile 3, that was so cool. Well, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that energy. I really enjoyed feeling all that and being present with it too. And I feel like this wave of energy and emotion and like tears that kind of want to roll up at that kind of beauty right there, because that seems like huge change that's happening as a result of just love. Yeah. And letting go of what isn't love. Things that we thought were love. Wow. Okay, thank you for spending your time with me. I hope that you find that helpful. And that's going to conclude your reading. Okay. Pile 4. Wow, thank you for being here. We're going to look at what are you in the process of remembering. And the first thing I asked Spirit for was to tell me about you. So you'll want to look for something that's true in here. It's a general reading, so everything may not be true. Just take the things that resonate for you. But as long as something resonates for you, that's Spirit's way of letting you know that this message is meant for you. And then we'll go on to the rest. All right. You are... Wow. You're like a wealth of beautiful treasure. Maybe you've been in a lot of relationships, but they didn't last as long as you wanted them to. That you ended up with friends instead. That you're open-hearted and beautiful, honest, willing to be with yourself. Maybe a little bit limited in what you're willing to like venture into sometimes, but still willing to go there when you know that it's worth it. And you have been able to really what's the word I'm looking for? You've been willing to, or able to increase, multiply your everything, like your abundance, your experiences. So limitless possibilities but temporary boyfriend. Maybe you've just been playing the field too, in this energy of just being like free and good and love and woo, but not settling down or something. No one's dug below the surface to get to the treasure yet. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're an open book and no one's reading the book. They're still looking at what they can create with you or something. Yeah, I feel that's true. Okay. Yeah, like see this rock's in the way of digging for the treasure. There's something in the way of digging for the treasure, and But still, you're open-hearted, so this is something that can be solved and will be solved, and you're learning about. Interesting. So what are you in the process of remembering then? Pick 4. That you're humanitarian, that this love of pleasure has been something going on Earth for a long time. That, oh, look at Juno, the asteroid of commitment. That commitment. That commitment is worthwhile, I feel like, because look, you got reunion. Commitment is offered to you. Commitment is beneficial to you. Commitment is requiring communication from you and maybe short distance travel and digging below the surface of, you know, anything that was keeping you from committing. Yeah, collecting. Okay, so there was a wounded part of you repeating a not wanting to commit to something. And that was a weakness in you that has been revealed to you now through a pattern of it repeating. And the pattern may have turned like and looked like abuse, like either you abusing yourself or another, because this temporary boyfriend thing can be like player energy, playboy energy, like non-committal energy can be abusive, and if you mislead somebody, if they don't know, you know. But you are authentic, so it's like, even if you were authentic and told someone you didn't want a commitment, even if that were the truth, and I mean, if that were the case, it can be that your energy said something different, and your actions said something different. So, because that was the case, and that was different from what you meant, I believe that your actions were putting you into a karmic loop. It was a karmic loop for you not to be able to commit. And you're learning the detriments of that from the other side of it. Maybe you've had to experience the other side of it or something. It's been a little bit chaotic and felt a little bit abuse ridden. And fiery. There's been like some sort of like passionate release in the form of a reaction to this pattern of being avoidant to commitment. But there's a reason that you've experienced this, and maybe through being witnessed through it, through witnessing yourself through it, or through talking about it here now, just in, you know, from spirit, your intellect processing it and things like that. You look for the solution, the humanitarian win-win-win for everyone in this situation. Okay, so this may involve self-forgiveness. If you have a question about this reading up to this point, or if you came to the reading with a general question, we're going to ask Spirit for the answer to that now, before we go on. Okay, and the answer is spiritual lesson. So, I think also this is kind of just saying, like, yeah, this is a spiritual lesson that you came in to this lifetime to learn about being a little bit of a commitment phobe. You know, and what that actually does to people, and how that is a weakness, and why you might be doing it, and what it's anchored to below the level of your awareness, and why it made you be driven by passion instead. Because if you can't commit, then you will let passion act like it's the intimacy that is needed for a relationship, when really relationships don't necessarily get built on passion. They can start that way, but that is not actually the way all relationships would or could or should start. And if the treasure is all buried down beneath, then you'd never get to it if you were that kind of doing just that kind of relating. Passionate. There has to be some steadfast commitment for that to unfold in some cases, when there's treasure below the surface. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to move on to the... Oh, dang. This was here. I don't think you were very picky with whoever you would share your love with when you were a temporary boyfriend type. All shapes, sizes, and colors. That's what it's saying. Okay. But also that you're just a good friend to all, you know, or that's how you saw yourself. But not realizing that the pattern was causing harm maybe to others that who never got considered below the surface level. All right, advice from Spirit. Pay attention to the details. Purify yourself, your relationships, your home, your car. Purify and look and know that you have a soulmate. That there are limitless possibilities with this soulmate. Let's just reverse this energy right over for you. Limitless possibilities restored. Once you learn this spiritual lesson, then you are able to move through this. You know, a soulmate is a person who agreed to take on the role of the victim in the dynamic so that you could see the dynamic, that it lived in you, anchored there from an earlier time, blocking the treasure, serving as a weakness and a fragmented part that was stuck, experiencing that over and over again, that you wanted to avoid so that you spent time in passion instead. Okay, in 6th house, your day-to-day living. This is more Virgo energy. This is your work life, your social life, your home life, your everyday life, and everything that you do in a day. It's like maybe visualize and think about what being in a commitment looks like to you. What does it look like to you? There's limitless possibilities. Maybe you were telling yourself a story that it couldn't work out and the reasons why, and that story is actually ready to be retold. Yes, in detail, with a soulmate, maybe even by communicating with somebody else to find out what they want too. Yes, yes, yes. Which takes you stepping, you know, towards your weakness. That's a spiritual lesson. A spiritual lesson is like being willing to purify and cleanse and look at things from a new perspective. I mean, why not? If you could have anything, why tell that story you're telling? Okay? Boy, I hope that's helpful, Pile 4. That was really interesting, and I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for spending your time with me, and maybe I'll see you next time.